All right, looking at section 1 of your pre-trip packets. You'll see the first 3 bullet points are for the safety features. So that's the fire extinguisher, the triangles, and the either circuit breakers or spare fuses. So for your packet, first bullet point is going to be for the fire extinguisher, as I have a securely mounted, fully charged 10BC fire extinguisher. I have a securely mounted, fully charged 10BC fire extinguisher. The next bullet point would be the triangles, and all you got to do is say that you have them. I have 3 reflective triangles. And then the last one, you point toward the glove compartment over there on your right, and you say, the truck runs on circuit breakers. We don't have to say anything about spare fuses. So 3 bullet points, beginning of section 1, here it is. I have a securely mounted, fully charged 10BC fire extinguisher. I have 3 reflective triangles, and the truck runs on circuit breakers. Below that in your packet, you will see there's a spot there for ABS light. If you take your key and you click it over to accessory, you will have an ABS light on your dashboard that will light up. You also remember this from the air brakes back on day 2 we had together. There's also ABS on your trailer. And so you have to point at both. So you point toward the dashboard and then kind of point at the mirror and kind of make a motion like you're looking back there and tell the examiner, the ABS light on my dash and on my trailer should come on and go back off. The ABS light on my dash and on my trailer should come on and go back off. Below that, you will see what is written there called Safe Start. Safe Start used to be one of the 90 boxes on the old pre-trip. It has been removed from the list on the new pre-trip. So you don't technically have to say this at all. This is the point you'll be starting the truck out. I typically still like to say this line though, because it makes it idiot proof. When you start up your truck, you don't want it to be in gear, because if you do, then when you jump off the clutch, you're going to get a sudden surprise as the truck tries to jump forward on you. You don't want that. And oftentimes what ends up happening, especially here at Napier on the lot, is you'll end up jumping into a truck that the student before you has just done an air loss test in. And so when you do the air loss test, you do it while you're in gear. And so all of a sudden you have this truck that you've inherited that's in gear already. So here's the line for the Safe Start. If you want to include this in your packet, I still recommend you say it because it kind of makes you idiot proof at least. With my transmission in neutral, the splitter down, and the brakes set, I will now safely start the truck. I'll say that again so you can write that down. With my transmission in neutral, the splitter down, and the brakes set, I will now safely start the truck. All right, now we got 5 bullet points, and this is for your gauges and indicators. There used to be a whole list of gauges we had to mention on the old pre-trip, the oil pressure and the water temperature, and that's all gone. The only gauge that is still left is the DEF gauge. DEF stands for diesel exhaust fluid. You don't need to know this necessarily, but people always ask this question in class. DEF stands for diesel exhaust fluid. And diesel exhaust fluid is not diesel fuel, it's its own separate thing. If you remember back in the 90s, the semi-trucks, they used to have the huge plumes of smoke, soot go up in the air. They were electing a new pope, so to speak. And you notice that the modern day semi-trucks typically don't have that. They don't release that black soot into the air. DEF is what neutralizes that black soot. Instead, it changes it into this shitty white powder that crystallizes and gums up your engine, gets all over everything. Every mechanic I've ever had in the classroom hates the stuff. But there it is. It's a requirement for trucks built. There's a certain date in the 2010s, I think it is. A lot of Amy's older trucks will not have DEF, but her newer ones, the ones that you'll be testing in, do. And so if you didn't have DEF, you wouldn't have to say it, but you need to be in the habit of saying it. So if you have a blank gauge on one of these older trucks on your dashboard that has nothing in it and you don't have DEF, point at that blank gauge and mention it as if it were there, because you want to keep that thing muscle memory. DEF will rise to its level. That's all you need to say about it. DEF will rise to its level. The next 4 bullet points there in that section are all for your indicators. And so it will be this: my left indicator works. My right indicator works. My 4-way indicator works, or you can call them hazards if you prefer. My high beam indicator works. And all 4 of these are lights that are in your dashboard. So when you say your left indicator works, you're going to turn on your left turn signal. You're not actually checking the turn signal. You'll do that in section 2, examine or check my lights, which we'll get to momentarily. But what you're checking is that little green arrow on your dashboard. There's a little tiny green arrow and it'll start flickering on and off. My left indicator works, then you'll turn off the left turn signal, put the right turn signal on, and you'll have the little green arrow on the right side. My right indicator works. You'll hit the little triangle button there for your hazards. My 4-way indicator works. And then you'll use that little toggle switch on your headlights to get the little blue light there. My high beam indicator works. So far, section 1, we've got, I have a securely mounted, fully charged 10 BC fire extinguisher. I have 3 reflector triangles. The truck runs on circuit breakers. Flip the key to accessory, my ABS light on my dashboard and on my trailer should come on and go back off. With my transmission in neutral, the splitter down, the brake set, I will now safely start the truck. DEF will rise to its level. My left indicator works. My right indicator works. My 4-way indicators work. My high beam indicator works. I've done all of those things that are on my dashboard. I'm going to pull this out now to my steering wheel and get my next 2, which are the horns. And again, you'll say that they work. You'll demonstrate them both with the examiner. My city horn works and my air horn works. Air horn might be a pull tab there on the side. It might be a little button on the side of your steering wheel. I've seen that go either way on Amy's trucks outside. So once I've done everything on my dashboard and I've pulled it mentally out to the steering wheel for my city horn works and my air horn works, I have 6 things as you flip your paper over. I have 6 things left to do in this section. And I follow the shape of the steering wheel for those 6 things. So you've got the mirrors, the windshield, the wipers and blades, the wiper fluid, the defroster, and the heater. I'll say those again to you slower so you can write them down, because I'm sure you're panicking. Slow down, Joel. First bullet point is mirror. The second bullet point is your windshield. Third bullet point is your wipers and blades. Put that together as one bullet point. The fourth bullet point is the windshield wiper fluid. Fifth bullet point would be the defroster. And the sixth and final bullet point there would be the heater. And for the last 3 of those, the wiper fluid, the defroster, and the heater, all you're going to put down is that they work, the same as you did for your indicators, whatever else. So put that down for those 3. My wiper fluid works, my defroster works, and my heater works. The top three in this little section, those have longer definitions. So for mirror, I'll give it to you a couple times. The mirror is securely mounted, not cracked or broken, clean and clear, and adjusted to the driver's vision. Mirror is securely mounted, not cracked or broken, clean and clear, adjusted to the driver's vision. Mirrors securely mounted, not cracked or broken, clean and clear, adjusted to the driver's vision. And again, lest you be all concerned about how specifically you word this, remember you've got to tell the examiner what he needs to hear in some way, shape, or form. There's 50 ways you can word it that's right. We had a student a couple years ago named Teklit, went through class. He must have only known 20 words of English. We had no idea how in the world he was ever going to get through pre-trip. And I sat outside with him, listening to him do in-cabs, and he'd get to this part, he'd point, and he'd go, mirror, scrumont, no crack, no break, for me. And that got him the point, and that got him credit. I will suggest to you that when you do get there to the test site and the examiner tells you to get in the truck and look around, I'll be there in a minute or two, that may be the first thing you want to do is adjust your mirrors. Because once you pass your pre-trip, and you will all pass your pre-trip, then you're going to have to do maneuvers, and that's the last thing you want to worry about is, oh my gosh, my mirrors are poorly adjusted, now I'm in the middle of these cones. So do that early. Mirrors securely mounted, not cracked or broken, clean and clear, adjusted to the driver's vision. The windshield, securely mounted, not cracked or broken. No unauthorized stickers. Rubber seal is in place. Windshield, securely mounted, not cracked or broken. No unauthorized stickers. Rubber seal is in place. And then you have your wipers and blades. The wipers and blades are securely mounted, not cracked or broken. They have proper tension to the windshield and no dry rot. Wipers and blades, securely mounted, not cracked or broken. Proper tension to the windshield, no dry rot. Please, students, heed my advice. If I'm hearing many students outside, try this. Bad things happen when you get to your wiper fluid too quickly. Your windshield has a full formal definition and a checkbox. The wipers and blades have a full formal definition and a checkbox. Please get those points first. Do not try to combine two of those three. I've heard different students in the past in the yard, windshield securely mounted, not cracked or broken, no unauthorized stickers, rubber seal in place. The wipers and wiper fluid work. Well, that's great, you got the wiper fluid, but you didn't say that the blades were securely mounted, not cracked or broken, or that they had enough proper tension. I'll use something like, my wipers and blades and wiper fluid all work, and the wipers are securely mounted, not cracked or broken. Well, again, you didn't give me the proper tension, no dry rot, anything like that. So Please keep those three things as separate items and do them one at a time separately. Make sure you get the point for the windshield. Make sure you get the point for the wipers and blades. Please do. So I've heard way too many students that get too quickly to that wiper fluid and they leave some detail out by one of those two items ahead of it. It doesn't work out well. Okay. So mirrors securely mounted, not cracked or broken, clean and clear, adjusted to the driver's vision, windshield securely mounted, not cracked or broken, no unauthorized stickers, rubber seal is in place, wipers and blades securely mounted, not cracked or broken, proper tension to the windshield, no dry rot, the wiper fluid works, the defroster works, the heater works. And now you get into the brake test, which you already got written down. Remember, you got two, a yellow and a red valve. They're both out right now, which means your springs are holding you still. If you push in one of them, you're testing the one that is out. If you push in red, you're doing that to test yellow, because it's the yellow springs that are holding you in place, the tractor brake. You don't have to explain any of that to the examiner. All you have to say is, I will now test my tractor brake. You'll push that red valve in, leave yellow out. I'm a real truck driver, so I'll put it in first gear. If you're an automatic, you can put it in D for dumbass and hit the fuel pedal since you're missing a pedal down there. And then once I give it that tug test and see that the engine wants to go, but the springs aren't letting me, my tractor brake held. Then I'll reverse the valves, push in yellow, pull out red, so I can test red. I will now test my trailer brake. Again, give it that tug test. Feel that you'd like to let it go somewhere, but it won't. My trailer brake held. And then push both of them in, because in order to test the surface brake, we have to be in motion. If you're not in motion, how do you know it's not really the springs that are holding you in place, right? So I will now test my surface brake. Both valves go in. You'll roll forward. The surface brake held, and the truck did not pull to the left or to the right. I will now air up my truck until the governor cuts off between 120 and 140 PSI. And you'll sit there and you'll roll down your window. You'll listen for that sound effect. If you want to hit the fuel pedal and make it go quicker, you can. The air compressor governor cut off at blank PSI. You can look at the gauge and tell him. Now you have to do the black box of death. This makes sure it breaks you. 4 things you got to do. Put it in gear. Valves in. Key off. Key to accessory only. If you get to do any one of those 4 things, you will fail that LS test. You got to do them all. Step 2, with my foot on the surface brake, I should not lose more than 4 PSI in a minute. Will you time me? The examiner is actually going to make you sit there for a whole minute. He's supposed to. When he tells you time's up, you will tell him, I did not lose more than 4 PSI in a minute. Remember, it's possible for the examiner to fail the truck without failing you. Doesn't help you get your CDL. Sends you home early. We have to pay for a new pre-trip from Napier because we gave you a defective truck, but that doesn't help you get your license, doesn't help us get you out of here. So I don't care if you lose 10 PSI, you're going to tell the examiner, I did not lose more than 4 PSI in a minute. Step 3, I will now fan my brakes until the low pressure light and buzzer come on around 60 PSI. Shh, 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 shh. Beep, 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 beep. The low pressure light and buzzer came on at blank PSI. Anywhere north of 55 should be fine. And then the last step of the air loss test, I will now fan my brakes until the valves pop out between 20 and 45 PSI. Shh, 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 shh. Pop, pop. My valves popped out at blank PSI. This concludes my air loss test. Examiner, will you check my lights? Okay. Want to make these last couple points to you. I know I mentioned this to you last week. You need to stare down your valves. You need to see these things pop out. Sometimes they pop out loudly. Sometimes they pop out silently. And if you're watching the gauge and just listening for the valves, you may not hear them. If the examiner sees them pop out and you're looking at the gauge and you keep pumping, 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 you've just failed your air loss test. So don't do that. Sometimes they both pop out together. Sometimes they pop out one first and then the other lags a couple pumps behind. If you're doing it by sound, you may hear the first one pop out and you might stop. You're supposed to keep going. You're required to keep going until both valves pop out. If you stop after only one and say, my valves popped out, you've just failed your air loss test. And again, you've only automatically failed the pre-trip if you bum your air loss test and then step out of the truck. He will not fail you on the spot until you step out of the truck and step foot on dry asphalt pavement. That is when he sends you home. So if you screw up your air loss test, you can have a second try, a third try, a fourth try. Absolutely. But you need to start all the way back again at step one. So tell the examiner, I screwed up the air loss test. I want a new air loss test. I want to air up my truck until the governor cuts off between 120 and 140 PSI and turn the truck back on and air it all the way back up. And again, if you know earlier that you have a bad air loss test, you realize you forgot to push the valves in, or you realize you touched them by mistake or whatever, the earlier you discover this and the earlier you abandon it, abort mission, the less time it's going to take to air that truck all the way back up to 120 again. There's no use wasting your 30-minute pre-trip on a dead air loss test that you know can't possibly pass. Don't do it. Nothing good comes of it. That's what we're looking at there. So as soon as you realize it's messed up, tell the examiner it's messed up, and then start again from step one, new air loss test. Get this right, because the air loss test is the only thing you have to get. It's the air loss test, and any other 21 boxes on that 32-box checklist is a pass. Because as is written in the Gospel of Matthew, for what is it a man to gain the whole world and lose his air loss test? And then lastly, if you go and watch my full pre-trip video with the checklist on it on YouTube, you'll note that a couple of my numbers are different on the air loss test. What I'm giving you today needs to be in your packet, because if you get one of those Batavia examiners that comes up to Butler Tech, the Batavia people insist upon it a specific way. Butler Tech would normally just kind of give you anything in general that's in that area, but they're much more technically sound about that in Batavia. So if you get one of those Batavia examiners comes up, somebody's on vacation, whatever, you need to make sure you have that. It's between 120 and 140 PSI for the governor cutoff. It's between 20 and 45 PSI for the valves popping out.